Okay, so it seems like Wuthering Waves is getting a ton of new updates, which is very, very exciting, with them teasing a ton of stuff with 2.4. Obviously, we've got the special program coming out on Friday, which again is going to be absolutely amazing. And also they've been teasing a couple of things to do with Septimum, which is the new area. They've included things like the Crown, Glory, things like that, which were in a big trailer, which they actually released over on their Twitter and YouTube, which pretty much just teases a ton of little objects, which has, significance later on. Obviously, we've got this little flower thing, obviously symbolizing, Frolova. Now, what I wanted to go through though today was something a little bit different of how popular have the Wuthering Waves characters been over the past couple of months. Now, I think it's very important to kind of notice here, obviously I've covered a lot of these, over a long period of time, and they are really, really helpful. I do think if the creator of this is ever watching this video, to add a counter in the corner somewhere, just to show people how many reruns that these characters get, because it can be a little bit misleading to some people, as I will explain further in this video. Obviously, this has only got 31 upvotes because I think a lot of people weren't very happy with the fact that, some of the reruns weren't represented well enough. But essentially, as you can see here, we can see some of the top characters that have been pulled of all time, essentially. And, at the bottom, here is Brand with 44,000, with 3,000 going up. Now, this is all taken from WuWa Tracker. So obviously, this isn't the be-all and end-all of kind of information. Obviously, some characters might be higher, some might be lower, but this is pretty much a kind of little pool of people who obviously submit their information to WuWa Tracker, and this is what we get from those users over at WuWa Tracker, and it kind of gives us an idea roughly of how about popular these characters are. Now, yeah, as I said, Brant was at 44,000, which again, that kind of makes sense, seeing as he hasn't had his rerun yet. I think this is before the second kind of phase with Ciaccona and stuff like that, and all the other kind of banners. Now, obviously, next we've got Gian, who's been pretty popular, but still at 53,000. And then Cantarella at 69,000, which obviously she's only had one run-in, and she's actually gone up by 4,000, so some people have submitted more of their information over time. If you guys see the fact that, some of these go up by quite a bit, and they haven't had a banner in a while, that is literally more people just submitted their information, so we have like a little bit more. Now, obviously, Yinlin as well at 76,000, which is kind of surprising. Obviously, she hasn't been too very prominent in the game recently. I don't think I've used Yinlin in a hot minute. I've been too busy playing with a lot of the new characters that come out, but it seems like she is still pretty popular, and people have still been pulling on her. So again, she's up there. We got Zheja as well, obviously one of the best supports whenever it comes to Carlotta and also Jinshi, so it's no wonder that she is somewhere up here, even though she wasn't a much liked character whenever she first came out. I mean, her character design didn't appeal to everybody. She was still a very powerful unit, so again, on her rerun, I think a lot of people did pull on her. I pulled on her rerun as well whenever it came out, and I think, yeah, again, this is what I mean by the fact of there needs to be a counter of reruns, I think, because again, it doesn't really show that. It says she's gone down by one position, but if you compare it to like Cantarella, who hasn't had a rerun yet, it doesn't look as good, because Zheja obviously looks like she's doing way better than Cantarella, but I'm sure if Cantarella was to have a rerun, she might go higher up than Zheja. So I think it would be important to add some kind of tracker like this. Now, obviously, we go to Zani, who actually made 95,000. Obviously, this is probably the newest character on this entire kind of list here. And yeah, Zani made 95,877 pulls, which is incredible. Obviously, she's had a really good run whenever it comes to just kind of people pulling on her, and she's gone up by 15,000 as well over this time. So again, she's been absolutely killing it, and obviously she's like one of the strongest DPSs out there. So I mean, there's no wonder that she is so high up, and including her character design as well. And in 6th place is actually Peeb. Now, obviously, Peeb has had a rerun in the form of that banner thing that we had on the first phase, and I think it's to be expected, obviously, as Zani needed Phoebe, sorry. Whenever it comes to this kind of stuff, and also a lot of other teams needed Phoebe, so people actually opened up to pulling her, as well as the initial amount of people that pulled her whenever she first came out. I actually pulled her when she first came out, not really thinking about how she'd fit into a Zani team, but I guess it worked out anyways. And then obviously we got Chang Li as well, who's always been very popular due to her character design, and also she's been very popular with the quick swappers, especially if you do it with like Brant and some other people as well. So obviously I think that's to be expected. Jinshi's still sitting pretty high up there. I mean, she hasn't gone up by anything dramatically. I mean, yeah, we haven't had any, we haven't had the rerun for her yet. I mean, she has had a rerun, but she hasn't had her other rerun, which we're seeing from the anniversary. So again, you know, that might go up even further after next month. We've also got Carlotta as well, who is, yeah, yet to get their rerun as well, which is in this patch, which is right now. So again, we'll have to wait and see what happens with that one, but she's still sitting very high up there with her being a very, very high damage dealing character. Then we got Shorekeeper, who obviously, yeah, she's been absolutely skyrocketing up the charts ever since her rerun, and, you know, tons of people, obviously, they've realized how good Shorekeeper is in the game, so they went ahead and pulled for her, and yeah, she's now sitting at second place, which I think is to be expected. She's one of the most powerful supports in the game. And then finally, we've got Camellia at number 1, which I wasn't really expecting, with 185,000 pulls or summoned. Which again, I think that's pretty crazy. Obviously, Camellia hasn't been anything absolutely, I mean, she's been a good damage dealer, but I don't think she's been anything stand out like a Carlotta or Jinchi or Zani. But again, she's still been really, really solid, and I think a lot of people really like her design. So I think that kind of makes sense. And obviously all these people saying all these numbers are from WuWa Tracker on this specific day. It's not all players, but a big enough bubble to have fun with the numbers. The pools are from all people who have willingly submitted theirs to WuWa Tracker. So if you want yours included, go to the site and do it now, because 6-month-old track records will get deleted from the game. That's how long the game stores it backwards. So again, yeah. I mean, we can also see the correlation as well with some of the weapons. I mean, String Master is still pretty high up there. I thought it would be a little bit higher due to the fact of it being a very versatile weapon, but, you know, apparently not. You know, you got Cantarella's weapon. I mean, the most popular weapon obviously is Red Spring, and then also Last Dance for, you know, Carlotta and Camellia. So I think, you know, that's to be expected. And, you know, even Zani's weapon is going up to 6th place, even though I'm pretty sure it only works on Zani. I don't think I haven't seen anybody use it on anybody else. But yeah, that is pretty much the entirety of that entire report there. I think it's interesting. As I said, it's only taken from a small batch of people, so don't take this as literal information that is like taken as like fact. But it's pretty, you know, it's pretty close, and it gives us an idea of how popular these characters are, which is a little bit of fun. Now, obviously, people saying number 1, as always. They say, keep in mind that Carlotta is now just getting her first rerun. This will be interesting. It said, I just noticed that WuWa Tracker is not tracking the anniversary banners. Oh, okay. So that's actually kind of interesting. Camellia is on top only due to technical issues. So yeah, they're not actually tracking the anniversary banners, apparently. I didn't even see that about that. Obviously, I was talking about a lot about the reruns and the anniversary banners, but maybe Phoebe, you know, doesn't actually contribute to that. That's a little bit weird. I mean, I would expect that it wouldn't be the case, but I don't know, because obviously you guys know that, you know, they kind of submit how many pulls have gone towards a character. I think, you know, because obviously people are still going to submit their pulls whenever it comes to, you know, getting Phoebe on that anniversary banner. I don't know. Obviously, you know, that's just how the numbers have presented themselves. And people said that Phoebe wasn't wanted. And they say Phoebe got 30k pulls in her rerun. Zani's frazzle requirement boosted her by a lot, which again is definitely true. And they say people wonder why we don't get more male characters. And again, I think people trying to turn this into a male character thing. I don't think, you know, they're entirely right here, because obviously Brant has only had one rerun at the time of this being made. And obviously, I feel like if he did have a rerun, he could actually skyrocket up to somewhere in the middle somewhere here. But yeah, I feel like it is more the fact of they're making more appealing female characters, and there's not actually enough male characters for them to even have a chance of getting up here. I think turning it into that kind of thing where it's like, oh, male versus female characters is so dumb. I think it's just nice to look at the facts here and yeah, just kind of ignore that kind of, you know, male versus female thing. I think it's just, you know, it's kind of irrelevant to a lot of things. You know, if people are happy with the game, people have the game. If they're not, they're not. You know, it's totally fine. And yeah, obviously people go into a big argument about that one. You know, people Camellia reacting. Of course, my GOAT is number 1. You know, I'm a bit surprised String Master isn't higher up. Exactly, that's what I was saying. Saying feels like some people forgot this is from WuWa Tracker. Only those who send data to WuWa Tracker will reflect this. Anyways, Cam and Shorekeeper will probably remain at the top of WuWa Tracker all year long, which yeah, definitely is true. They say, is Rocha the lowest ownership? And they say Sanhua ruined Rocha sales so bad, Kuro made sure, yeah, bested slot supports would never be close to a 4-star ever again. So yeah, it seems like Rocha might be at one of the lowest. Usually they do provide us like a list of some of the lowest characters, but we don't have one here. So that would have been interesting to look at. But yeah, as I said, one way to actually improve this, if the person who is, you know, making this actually is watching this, I definitely recommend adding a rerun counter just somewhere on the characters, so we know how many reruns each character's had, so it becomes a little bit less misleading in terms of how many pulls each of the characters have. So yeah, that would just be a nice bit of extra information to have there. But let me know down in the comments what you guys think about this. Do you think that Camellia deserved to be at number 1, Shorekeeper at number 2, etc, etc? Because honestly, I do think it's a pretty interesting chart that is giving us a little bit of a look into some of the most popular characters in Wuthering Waves. And yeah, if there is another one coming out soon, I'll definitely be taking a look at that one, because it's going to be very interesting with a lot of the characters that are coming out. But yeah, if you guys did enjoy this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and also go to GameStop, use my code Kazza, get 10% off. Again, they've got a ton of really cool stuff over there at the moment, so I definitely recommend going to go check it out. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. So, see ya!